We are saying it loud and clear. And I assure you, we're not going to be deterred by those who say that the people who are discussing current events and ensuring that the public gets an opportunity to air their views are enemies of the state. We're not going to be deterred by the veiled comments made on social media and by the government of St. Lucia. It's really weird the way the Prime Minister always talks about being vilified. It's almost as if he wants us not to examine the things that we are told in relation to current policies. But that is our job, and that is why we are here. You know, according to a famous quote from a famous journalist in St. Lucia, Kimun Kika God Le God. That is our job, guys. That is our job, people. We need to ensure that, one, we hold the government accountable for their actions because, of course, we have given them a mandate to act on our behalf in matters of national interest. Secondly, we need to ensure that we hold them accountable. We need to ensure that our best interest, the public interest, is at the forefront of every decision made by the government. How do we do this? We do this by examining the issues, examine every policy, examine every decision, ensure that the public interest, not personal interest, not the government's interest, not certain people's or certain sectors' interest, but public interest. We are the referendum. We are the voice that matters. We are the electorate. And our job, whether we choose to accept it or not, is to ensure that this government runs our country in a way where the interests of the many override the interests of the few. So, please allow me to examine what the government is doing and when they are doing it. Now, if you had a chance to take in the pre-cabinet press briefing, you'd have realized that the Minister of Investment spoke extensively about the Uber situation, and we oh my God, my cousin is on here. Hi, cuz, how you doing? You know who you are. Lots of love to you. Mwah. So, guys, as I was saying, you would have heard the Minister of Tourism speak extensively on certain subjects. For example, the Uber situation that is permeating the public sphere. People are talking about the benefits of Uber. People are talking about the disadvantages of Uber. I personally, I've given my take on the situation. I think that there is need for an alternative to transportation in St. Lucia. I think Uber should come. I think Uber will get the bus drivers to straighten up and fly right, because they're not going to want Uber to take over and to leech their livelihood. But the bus drivers, the taxi drivers, the ones who are already anticipating the slowdown in their revenue, they are vehemently opposed to Uber. But I say, guys, why not Broaden your horizons, sign up with Uber. That way you still get the trip. But there's another thing that the minister spoke about, and that is the creative grants. If you recall, on a previous occasion, I think it was sometime before the last election, I may be wrong, but it was definitely sometime last year. It could have been during the sometimes I forget my words, people. It could have been sometime during the election campaign, and I may be wrong about this. But I do recall the Minister of Investment speaking about a creative industries grant. This grant was supposed to provide persons, creatives in St. Lucia, to an opportunity to access funding, an opportunity to build up their repertoire if that is what they needed, an opportunity to produce music if that's what they wanted, get equipment and so on and so forth, and just strengthen their position in their creative or respective fields. Now, there was a timeline as to when that grant should have come on stream. And apparently, the grant, despite the fact that several creatives have applied for these monies, the monies have not been distributed. And according to the minister, that is because the amount of applications have far exceeded the capabilities of the program. Now, before I get into the meat of the matter, because I don't like to just tell you things, I like to give you the information straight from the source, and I'm going to go to the clip where the minister speaks about this. I just want to mention, say good day to all of you joining me on the live today. Those of you joining us on the 107.7 FM frequency on your radio, good afternoon to you. I see you there listening. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Those of you listening via the 107.7 link, which, by the way, is in a pinned comment on the Facebook page for those of you who want to know. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. And last but not least, thank you to those of you joining on the Facebook platform. Again, if you want to join in on the discussion, the numbers to call 572-3473. That is both our WhatsApp number and our landline number. And this gives you access to our WhatsApp platform if you want to send us some information and maybe a video, if you want to send us a video, if you want to send us a voice note, feel free to contact us on that number. The number again, 572-3473. So back to the Creatives Grant. Initially, the amount put up for the grant was $400,000. And that money was supposed to give the creative industry a shot in the arm, so to speak, and allow for persons involved in that industry, and we're speaking about dance, film, music, so on and so forth, to access funding to better their craft. Now, there are several creatives who have applied for the grant, but they have not received any monies or any correspondence. That is very important as well. They have not received neither money nor correspondence. And inquiring minds wanted to know the situation at the at yesterday's pre-cabinet press briefing. So I take you now to the Minister of Tourism, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, who speaks about this situation with the Creatives Grant.
What we're looking for, so that this set gets this time, next set gets the next time, because I can understand.
Okay, I think we went a little bit too far here. We need to backtrack a little, as I like you guys to hear the question as well as the answers. I don't just like you to hear one side of the conversation. No room for speculation here on Hard Talk.
To speak about the creative industries grants. I know that there was supposed to be some correspondence in December, but from all indications, from people I've spoken to and myself, I've not received any correspondence in that regard. Can you give us an update in that regard, and what can applicants expect?
Well, I must say to you, when we came up with the idea to provide some support to the creatives for the grant facility, we never ever expected that kind of response that we got. I mean, we had almost 1,000 applications requesting assistance. When we tallied the total amount of monies requested, came out to about $4 million. $4 million. Now, the amount of money the Prime Minister gave us, no way comes close to that amount of money. So what I decided was to say to the Prime Minister, look, before we start deciding this one gets and the balance do not get, let's see how much more money we can get. So we made a request, and it's going to be provided for in the coming estimates. The new financial year starts 1st of April. So we have two options. Either we take the most worthy ones, into those that score the highest, and use the monies we have, which is about $400,000, and deal with those, and let all the others wait until we know how much money we will get in the next financial year, and then disperse. As it is, some people will be disappointed. There's no way we can give 1,000 grants. So there will be disappointment. But we did not want to start, giving some persons approval and support and others still not sure what's going to happen. So we want to know what's the totality of money that we will have, and then we will then decide how to apportion it. So it's really unnerving for the creatives, and I can understand why. But we got some really good requests. I can tell you, some really good requests. And there are some that are not, I would say not good, but maybe not the traditional. And we need to figure out how to resolve it, because when we came out with the idea of the grant, is because we were getting so many requests in the ministry for creatives that wanted support for activities. So we wanted to say, look, tell us what you want to do. We got an extra $400,000. But let me tell you, from police to publishing books to cameras to drones to underwater drones to exhibitions to all different kinds of requests, that is just really overwhelming.
Could just learning from this going forward, could when another grant possibly comes out, could we be a little bit more specific as to what we're looking for, so that this set gets this time, next set gets the next time? Because I can understand from what you say, it could be overwhelming for facilitators and to go through all those applications, right? So maybe we need to be a bit more specific when we say creatives, because creativity is a very broad topic.
Yeah, it was overwhelming, but also very inspiring. They were not recognizing there were so many people who wanted to do a little something. Put it in simple ways, who wanted to just do something, and they wanted support to make it happen. It was really, really inspiring. And I wish I had $5 million that I could just give everybody support. Because there were really some exciting ideas, whatnot. Now that's the danger of what you've just said. And as much as you are right, from a procedural, operational point of view, you're right. But you just want everybody, that's what creativity is about. Think of an idea and throw it out there. Now for us to start saying, no, only publishing of books, recording of music will be considered, then the same problem exists for almost 80% of the creatives out there. There are a lot of creative ideas out there. So, I mean, I'm going to come and give you the categories. We categorized all of them. We scored it, and whatnot. And the requests range from tens of thousands of dollars to small $2,000, that kind of stuff. I can't remember yours, how big it was. But I mean, it's really, really helpful. There are young people who just want to just buy a piece of equipment, for example. They involve in creative production and they just want to get some support. So it was really inspiring to know so many people in St. Lucia actually want support to make something happen, to express their creative thoughts. So we will look at that. But the money we're going to get for the next financial year will be taken up already because we already have applications. So if we get $1 million or $2 million, it's already accounted for, really accounted for. But it was really good to know there's so many people with creative ideas. They just want a little support to make it real.
So no confirmed dates yet?
No,
That's what
I would be foolish to do that. Yeah.
Just shifting gears a little bit.
So there you have it, folks, the creative grant. Guys, listen, you guys on here are no joke. You guys are no laughing matter here on Hard Talk. The Facebook platform is already up in arms. It's already just bringing in the all of the fire, guys. All of the fire is on Facebook today. So before I move on and I give my take on this, let me just give the people a voice. That's what we're here for, right? To give the people a voice. Let's go. So lots of people chiming in saying good afternoon, and good afternoon to you guys. So somebody's saying, I am for Uber. Competition is good. And I agree with that. I think the Uber, the introduction of Uber in St. Lucia is going to keep those taxi drivers and those bus drivers, for example. I'm not really harping on the taxi drivers. They get the job done. But the bus drivers, for sure, they need something to motivate them to get up and do the job. So somebody says we are asking about our passport monies, but we are not getting answers. Well, sadly, I don't think we are going to get any answers to the CIP. I think right at this point, it's almost akin to insanity to ask the Minister of Investment to say anything about CIP because he is so tight-lipped. Let's see if at least we are going to get a minister's statement, because today is there is a sitting of Parliament, if I'm not mistaken, happening today as we speak. So hopefully we are going to get at least the minister's statement to let us know what is happening with our passport monies. But we don't know. Somebody is saying, why Uber is more expensive than the taxi drivers? Short trip with taxi driver is $20, Uber is $50. Does that make sense? Well, that I cannot confirm. I have to be honest, guys. I have never looked up the prices for Uber. I never have. I'm going to be totally honest. I never have. So that I cannot confirm. I did see someone post some prices on Facebook, but I have not looked at it myself. And I will, I promise, and I will come back and speak to you guys and just go over this with you. Somebody says, Mama Muta Blah, one thing, you good we in my Lucian voice. Oh my goodness. Another person is saying, so where is the CIP money? Well, I do have an update for you on the CIP money, but unfortunately, it's going to cause a mini riot here on Hard Talk. But you asked the question, so I have no choice. I have to answer. And that will come in another clip later on in the day. But today, well, later on in the show, I'm going to play you the clip which explains to you where some of, at least some, I think, of the CIP money has gone. But the Creatives Grant, that is the subject of the day. So, the government of St. Lucia has promised the creative industries, they call it the orange economy. They promised members of the creative field that they were going to give them a boost and ensure that they get opportunities to up their game. And that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, that is a good thing. But when persons make requests for government funding and they get no answer, no correspondence, yes, you have $400,000 and it's not enough. But based on the youth economy and the response to those grants, you're telling me that no creative applied for monies from the youth economy? You're telling me that that did not give you an indication as to how many people were interested in these orange economy grants? Or was this simply a quick fix idea, an off the cuff idea to attract the youth vote? Because if you are serious, and just hear me out, guys, if you are serious about creatives and building an orange economy, you had a program called the Youth Economy. You had a Youth Economy Agency. They were responsible for providing financial assistance to young people who wanted to start businesses in all types of industries. And I'm guessing this, I'm not saying that's how they did it, but I'm guessing that the orange economy or creatives grant stemmed because people or young people, creatives, were applying to the CIP, sorry, not the CIP, the youth economy. And so you realized or you recognized the need for an additional grant or financial aid service aimed specifically at this budding industry. No? Isn't that the way things are supposed to be done? You see a need, you identify a need and you work to meet it? Now, you heard the minister say that some of the persons who applied, it was very interesting, and he said it in a way that implied that we didn't expect this. But then when he was asked, shouldn't you have been more specific instead of simply saying a creative industries grant? Shouldn't you have been more specific and said, okay, film or dance or, that sort of thing, to ensure that you target the persons you think who are more in need of the service? His answer was he didn't want to dissuade anyone or turn anyone away or marginalize anyone? Come on, Mr. Minister. Come on. Listen, I have no issues with any of these, the youth economy, the grants. My problem with these programs is the lack of accountability and follow-up. If the ministers, the Prime Minister and the Minister for Investment are to be believed, there is significant interest in these programs, which is good. Young people want to work. They want to own their own businesses. They want to be creative. They want to be productive. This is good. I much prefer our young people engaging in constructive activity rather than gang warfare and vehicular carnage. But we need to do things in a structured and efficient way. We can't be simply throwing money out there, not knowing what the return on investment would be. And I have said this several times. I am yet to see one business that has stemmed from the Youth Economy Agency. Some time ago, I had a conversation with someone who said to me that the youth economy was necessary for young people to better themselves. And I pointed out that, but we already had that service. We had the St. Lucia Development Bank. And this person said to me, so, but you talking foolishness. You mean to tell me that if a young person wants to buy a guitar because they want to learn how to play the guitar, you're going to send them to a bank? Yes. Because you see, we need to understand, people, what the function of that agency is. It is not the Youth Follow Your Dreams agency, although it does, that might be the motto, follow your dreams. Youth follow your dreams. I don't know, I might be wrong. It is the Youth Economy Agency, which implies that it is an avenue for young people, for the youth of the country, to facilitate their personal and economic development. It's not a wish foundation, a Make-A-Wish Foundation, where we just want to spend money to make the youth happy. That is not what I understood. Maybe I might be understanding it the wrong way, but that is not what I understood when the Prime Minister explained the rationale behind this initiative. What I understood was that it was a way to drive economic development, meaning persons would be using these funds, or were supposed to use these funds, to provide themselves with a way of earning income and thereby contributing to the economic development of the country. Now, if I'm understanding this the wrong way, please, somebody set me straight. But this is what I understood. And I'm understanding the same thing. I took it to mean when the minister spoke about the Creatives Grant and the development of the orange economy. I saw it as a branch of the Youth Economy Agency. So I'm expecting a return on investment. Now, of course, there are businesses that most businesses, the average business takes 5 years before it begins to turn a profit. Any person who's involved in business in any way would know that. But guys, has it not been 5 years? And even if these businesses were not making a profit as yet, because of course we can't expect that, these things take time. Come on, let's be honest here. But shouldn't at least one of these businesses have opened their doors by now? So that persons like myself, who of course want to support the youth, could benefit from their services? Instead, it seems to me that this is the government-funded Make-A-Wish Foundation. There are no audits of the processes of the youth economy. We don't know what they've been doing, and now we're hearing about this Creatives Grant. And the minister is essentially saying to the public that $400,000 is not enough money. We need more. How much more? By the way, do we know how much money has been disbursed through the Youth Economy Agency? Some of these were grants and there was a loan aspect. How much of that money has been repaid? Are they receiving repayments? What is really going on? Where is the accountability? And who is keeping an eye on the processes of the youth economy to ensure that even the selection process or approval process for grants and loans is transparent and beneficial to all? When are we going to see a statement or an audit of how much money has been dished out by this agency? How many businesses have opened? And the return on the investment, because if I'm not mistaken, this agency is being funded by taxpayers' dollars, no? How do we gauge whether this is a lucrative investment that we should continue, or a 30-day trial, so to speak? Who is keeping an eye out for the public interest? Because we do want our young people to benefit from these government programs. And if the Youth Economy Agency is beneficial, if it meets its mandate, if it does what it's supposed to do, we do want it to continue, n'est-ce pas? So, where is the information coming from that agency? Are these audits or reports going to be tabled on an annual basis? Are they going to be published in the Gazette? Are they going to be tabled in Parliament? Where is the accountability? Where is the transparency? And now we're hearing about this Creatives Grant. And we're hearing that the minister is saying that he's trying to see if he can get more money But then whatever money that he's going to get in this year's budget, it's already gone. It's already been spent. It's already allocated. These are the things that we need to know. These are the questions that we need to ask. Because we didn't hire government because we just liked the way they looked. We loved the way they dressed. We didn't care about our future. No. We hired a government to do a job. And as taxpayers, we deserve a fair day's work for a fair day's pay from our civil servants. And yes, whether or not the Prime Minister and his ministers hold the highest offices in the land, they are civil servants. And there's a reason why people who work in the public sector are called public servants or civil servants. It is because their job, their mandate, their purpose is to serve the best interest of the public, not their personal best interest, not the best interest of their friends, but to serve the best interest of the public. Red, yellow, blue, or green, it does not matter. So, Mr. Minister, while you're unearthing those CIP reports, the long overdue ones that you've promised us will be tabled, could you do us a simple favor? Run over to the Youth Economy Agency and tell your buddy over there, because there is a new minister for the youth economy. If you would recall, that would be Mr. Wayne Gerard, the MP for Ancillary Canneries. Somebody sending me a message. We're going to get back to that in a bit. But as I was saying, guys, while you're searching for the long overdue CIP reports, can you just drop a note, a memo, something to your buddy Mr. Wayne Gerard and have him provide us with a audit of the Youth Economy Agency? And don't forget, Mr. Minister, we also need an explanation for this new grant that you were so excited about. So let's go to the Facebook platform. Somebody's saying, so true. To me, that's I will do these things to get some monies. That's all grants, non-accounted for. Same with the CIP. Okay. On the WhatsApp platform, somebody is sending us a poem. Let's take a listen. Let's see what this person has to say. I can't guarantee you it is about our topic, but all contributions are welcome, so let's listen to this poem.
That's waiting. Working out in the city we call Castry, You will find our streets always busy, crowded. When I listen to the voice of the city, I most certainly will hear something to amuse me. This place is so full of life. Wait, stop, take a 5. That's when you will hear it. All kinds of chants, I swear it. Vendors with their own rhythm. You don't have to be clever to learn them. This vendor selling tomatoes, that's how his line goes. Tomados, 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 tomados. That's waiting, a Lucian thing. Catch your breath, stop, just listen. Vendors in the sun, they glisten. I tell you, you can't find this anywhere else. No, only in Castries. That's where the chants flow. This guy selling coconut water, here's what he'll utter. Grow cocoa, where's a chill? Coconut water, rinse your heart. That's wheating, a Lucian thing. Walk around a bit, maybe heading to Scotia for money, maybe looking to purchase a bottle of honey. You turn the corner and you hear it. You need a cleanse? Come and get it. Netwire, netwire, no Viagra, no enhance. You'll get twins. Netwire, netwire. That's wheating, a Lucian thing. You continue your journey. The boulevard is bustling. Everywhere you pass, vendors are hustling. This man selling the rub for sore muscles. That's the chant for his hustle. Kotauni mala, ikai deshiwe. Kotauni mala, ikai deshiwe. That's wheating, a Lucian thing. Just when I thought I had heard it all, I stopped by the drugstore and there's a new call. This new kid on the block with his trolley hit a chant. He sounded so jolly. Kokom, kokom, kokom to make you come, okra to make you grow, tomatoes to keep you on your toes. That's how it goes. That's wheating, a Lucian thing. Friends, believe me, here in Castries, the stress can disappear with ease. Just listen and you will hear the calls, the chants, all the fanfare. Wheating, we Lucian thing.
Well, I guess this person is aiming for a creatives grant, but you're on the wrong platform, honey. I don't have any money. See, I can rhyme too. Oh my goodness, that was very creative, very very creative. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, I wish I knew who the poet was though, because I would love to see this person get a shot at getting their hands on a creative grant. And guys, you know what? This is the kind of thing that these programs are supposed to support. Somebody says, I was about to say that. Creative grant, here she comes. Yes. You know, these are the kind of things, the kind of talent that these programs, the youth economy, the creative grant, this is what they are here to support. And in order for persons like this poet and many others to develop themselves, We need to ensure that the money is going where it is needed. And this is why I say, and I stress, we need to ensure that these programs, these government programs, the creative grants, the youth economy, we need to ensure that they are going in the right places. Not to friends and family, but to persons with talent, persons who can make it out there. That is what we need. How are we to ensure that the individuals who need these services the most? Somebody says, thanks, Angie, for sharing this poem with your listeners. You're welcome anytime. Like I said, the WhatsApp platform is there for us to give the public a voice. I may not be part of the public service anymore, but I am still a St. Lucian, and I will always work in the public interest. So yes. Now, I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but I believe that's an idea. Somebody's saying, maybe Angie, you can do a segment bringing the creatives to life. Get not so ordinary people to send you their creations and play it on here. That is an idea. Maybe we'll think of that for a weekend segment. That sounds really nice. But let's get back to the funding for the nurturing of this talent. Somebody said to me that whenever the government decides to give poor people something, rich people always oppose it and they always have a problem. And I felt that this was a very asinine statement. Nobody's opposing the development of our youth. No one is opposing the development of our creatives. Nobody is against nurturing local talent. What I am against is taxpayers' funds being used in ways that are inefficient and not going to the persons who deserve it the most. Because there is use for these monies. And as you will hear in the other segment that I'm about to play, St. Lucia is in dire need of funds in certain key areas. And when you're in a situation where a country like ours we're not a industrial country to say that we depend on manufacturing to generate income. We're not a agricultural producer that exports food to foreign markets to generate income. No. What we are is a pretty lady out in the middle of the ocean enticing foreign visitors to come and spend some time with us and buy us fancy jewels and pay our bills. Essentially, that is who Fair Helen is. A beautiful island which says to foreigners, come, indulge, enjoy. Look at my pitons. Dance in my villages. Spend money on tours. See the sights. Yes, the tourism industry. That is what I was thinking of. That is what I was describing. Because that's what it is. We are a tourist destination. And if tourism dwindles, which by the way, people, that is not such a far-fetched idea. We never thought we would see the day when St. Lucia was shut down, when no one could visit, no one could leave, where even our own citizens could not come home. But we saw it during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, don't get me wrong. There isn't a COVID-19 pandemic right now. But what we do have is a geopolitical mess brewing in the Western Hemisphere. Donald Trump is, in his own words, on a quest to make America great again. And in order to make America great again, he has to stop certain things that America has been doing. And the first thing to go, if you remember correctly, was U.S. aid. If you don't recall what U.S. aid was, it was an agency set up by